Hey everyone! I enjoy using media and devices a lot, but how do you know if we've used them too much? In this video, I'm going to discuss why consuming too much media is a bad idea based on what I learned from my experience. Let's get started! Monday, August 25th was my first day of my new college class at Virginia Wesleyan. I'm taking a media class, and we got a substitute on the first day. We went over the syllabus and talked about social media. I remember when media such as games and videos felt like my whole world to me, but now I see that as a side hobby of my real life experience. I realize that the media I'm viewing may show characters viewing other media from time to time because that's from the perspective of a real life experience. I feel like overdoing my video consumption on YouTube tricked me into doing experimental things such as playing an entire game while collecting everything and trying to keep my numbers high on all my digital platforms. But now I don't watch as many YouTube videos and I enjoy more real life experiences. This reminds me of when I was transitioning from video games to summer camp in June 2023, and my gaming hobby was so much better with summer camp on my mind. I remember trying to experience batches of content from one end to the other, such as music albums and playlists, videos, video playlists, TV shows, episodes from podcasts, you name it. But I realized I could do whatever I want to control my media on digital platforms, and they create a mixed experience for home and on the road. For a while, I was confused as to which moments were part of the same batches of content when I saw them as separate experiences, including when a content release is found in a series or when they're all interconnected in some way. But it's much better to consider that a side hobby and enjoy real life. I remember thinking it was a good idea to do things in a certain order so I could fully enjoy the references to those that came before, whether it was previous moments from a batch of content or a previous content release. But I realized I have plenty of moments that call back to previous moments in real life, including something I enjoyed doing before and revisiting the media I liked. And anything I didn't know before, I could learn. On September 17th, me and my dad pre-ordered Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Nintendo Switch. It's coming out on Thursday, October 2nd, and I plan to play it the following day on Friday, October 3rd. I used to plan ahead with my goals in each game, but as of now, I have no goals for this game. I'll just play it when I'm in the mood to. I used to talk about a complete video game experience as if it was running in an outside universe, but now I'm embracing my real-world experience as one. With that in mind, I'm free to pause, rewind, fast forward, or exit whatever I'm doing. In May, I was still confused as to what counted as different worlds of experience, but now I'm 100% free. I remember having a similar issue in 2023, but at that time I wanted to escape the moments that were dull compared to the summer, so I pretended each little thing was not only its own universe, but its own time zone as well, with the time being the day something was released or created. This was stressful for my brain, and boy, I'm glad that was over for 2 years. After writing a media essay for several days, I decided to set limits with my games and YouTube videos and shut down all my devices at 7:30 p.m. I used to leave my devices running all the time for the sake of easily continuing where I left off, but since media isn't everything to me anymore, I'm fine with starting things up again. My parents set limits for me long ago, and I lost track of them around 2022. But now that I know what too much media exposure is like, I've decided to set limits for myself. Oh, and when I watch so much content at a time from my favorite YouTube creators who play some of my favorite games but choose not to do everything, it felt like I needed to do everything myself. And when I thought of media as different worlds, it felt unrealistic to quit or restart. But now that I'm enjoying my real-world experience, I'm happy to do absolutely anything with what I'm playing. I've heard of a cohesive experience in a Zack Scott video about super worlds in Mario Maker 2 compared to different levels that were spread out on the course world, but I decided to enjoy my life as a cohesive experience. Even when I pause, rewind, fast forward, restart, or quit something, my life keeps going. As with my media, I love how it works well with what I want to do, with a code for every situation. But creators may have gotten their machines to do what they wanted, but that was before sending them to us. I'm so glad I cleared my history of things I did in a rigid way before May 2025, and some history from before setting time limits for myself so I could balance the activity shown on screen. For a while, I wanted to focus on one thing at a time so it doesn't seem like there are too many made-up things in my life at once, but at least my time limits will help balance things out. I used to have video game progress define myself and how powered up I feel one day, but I love how my video games are in their purest forms when the on-screen numbers are low or at a 0. It's great not to overcomplicate things by not having specific goals for my gameplay. Games may present one objective after another, but I realize quitting and or restarting my games won't break my experiences with them, since I realize the games themselves are side adventures I can play when I want, time permitting. It's great not to think of side or main objectives in a game as homework. Come to think of it, I had time limits and no goals with my games as a little kid. I didn't even know I could beat a game until I naturally achieved something later on. In the summer, I thought of each game as a big, long motion picture that's only completed when I make it all the way through. But now that I've adjusted my focus to the real world again, I no longer try to go through my media from one end to the other, since anything I do is part of my personal story. Even when I experience media in a rigid way for a while, I won't regret it. I'll just consider it part of my personal learning experience. Besides, my past struggles are over now. I realized that my negative thinking in real-life situations came from doing things in a rigid way, and it felt like I was being controlled by my media when I was using too much of it. But now that I limited my media usage, I see it as a tool to improve my real-life activities, whether I use it for information, learning, or entertainment. It'll be great for my history pages to be accurate to what I want to do each day, and it's very satisfying seeing everything adapt to my personal preferences, especially now that I'm no longer borrowing other people's devices to do something. Thanks for watching up to this point, even though you didn't have to. See you in my next video.